Hey everyone, welcome back to Animals World. If you've been scrolling online lately, you might have seen some wild headlines claiming that dire wolves, yep, those massive, iconic beasts from Game of Thrones, have been brought back from extinction. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But is it true? Today we're diving into the facts to figure out what's really going on. Stick around and let's separate hype from reality. So what's the buzz? A company called Colossal Biosciences announced in April 2025 that they've de-extincted dire wolves. They claim to have created 3 wolf pups, named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, love the Game of Thrones nod, that carry dire wolf genes. According to them, these pups were born using cutting-edge genetic engineering, and they've got traits like white coats, bigger bodies, and stronger jaws, just like the dire wolves that roamed North America over 10,000 years ago. Pretty epic, right? The internet went wild. Some folks were thrilled, thinking we're one step closer to a real-life Jurassic Park. Others, not so convinced. So let's break it down. First, a quick refresher. Dire wolves were real animals, not just fantasy creatures. They lived during the Ice Age, hunted megafauna like bison and mammoths, and went extinct about 10,000 years ago. Unlike gray wolves, which are their closest living relatives, dire wolves were bigger, bulkier, and had some unique traits. Colossal says they extracted DNA from dire wolf fossils, a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull, to figure out what made dire wolves special. Here's where it gets interesting. They didn't clone dire wolves like in Jurassic Park. Instead, they took gray wolf cells, which share about 99.5% of their DNA with dire wolves, and used CRISPR, a gene editing tool, to tweak 20 spots in 14 genes. These edits were meant to give the pups dire wolf traits, like a lighter coat and a bigger build. Then they used those cells to create embryos, implanted them in surrogate dogs, and boom, pups were born in October 2024 and January 2025. Sounds impressive, but does that mean dire wolves are back? Not so fast. Not everyone's buying the de-extinction claim. Independent experts like zoologist Philip Seddon and paleogeneticist Nick Rollins from the University of Otago argue these pups are essentially gray wolves with a few genetic tweaks. They point out that dire wolves split from gray wolves millions of years ago, and the ancient DNA we have is too degraded to fully recreate a dire wolf. One scientist even said it's like calling a genetically modified gray wolf a dire wolf just because it looks similar. Another issue? The pups only have a tiny fraction of dire wolf-like traits, 20 edits out of about 19,000 genes. Critics say that's not enough to call them dire wolves. Plus, we don't know if they act like dire wolves since behavior wasn't part of the gene editing, and ancient DNA is so fragmented that recreating a 100% pure dire wolf is probably impossible. So what's the verdict? I'd say the truth is somewhere in the middle. Colossal's work is a huge leap in genetic engineering. Creating wolves with specific extinct traits is no small feat, but calling them dire wolves might be a stretch. They're more like dire, wolf-inspired gray wolves. Think of it as a cover band, not the original artist. What's cool, though, is how this tech could help conservation. Colossal also cloned red wolves, a critically endangered species, using similar methods. That's a big deal. But there are risks, too. Like, what happens if these wolves get out? Could they mess with ecosystems? And some folks wonder if the money spent on dire wolves would be better used saving animals that are still here. So are dire wolves back? Not quite. We've got some awesome, genetically tweaked wolves that look a bit like their ancient cousins, but they're not the real deal. Still, this science is pushing boundaries, and who knows what's next? Maybe woolly mammoths or dodos. What do you think? Should we keep chasing de-extinction or focus on protecting what we've got? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more videos where we fact-check the wildest science stories out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.